Have you ever wondered how the drip garden actually works? And does it pay out 3.33% ever? Like, how does that actually work? Is it really profitable? And why does it seem like LP prices go up and down so much? We're going to talk about that in this video. By the way, we're over here on Animal Farm. This is the drip garden. I wasn't going to make a video about this, but I just recently saw an explanation and I thought it was perfect. You know, early on when the Animal Farm launched, I understood that in order for a project to work like this, most of the time you have to create a bit of a game mechanic, meaning you have to give people choices that they get to make. And if they make the right choices, they end up ahead. If they make the wrong choices, they end up behind. I didn't understand exactly what those choices were going to be with the Animal Farm. For example, I understood that if you did nothing but withdraw, I had a hunch that your overall return was going to drop and it would take you a long time, if ever, that you could actually get your funds out. The other things that I realized early on is that the value of plants actually changes. It's an arbitrary sort of number. It's a bit of a symbol. But there's actually no really benefit to understanding plants by themselves because they don't have any real value, and the value fluctuates over time. And then you see this time percentage happening, and you just start looking at this and you start wondering, okay, how does this actually work? The information that we were given, there's been some hidden mechanics that we haven't known about, and I just saw a full explanation of this and it makes perfect sense. So what are those hidden mechanics? We're going to be talking about it, but first I want to give a shout out to my Telegram. I recently just mentioned my Telegram on a previous video, and people have been signing up like crazy, and one of my Telegram users posted this, so I want to give credit where credit is due. If you want to join us in Telegram, go down into the description. By the way, if you love earning passive income with cryptocurrency and you want to learn how you can earn passive income, then just go down the description and subscribe to our Crypto Passive Profits newsletter. All right, first things first. Drip BUSD Garden, let's look at what we know. The DRIP BUSD LP tokens, liquidity pool tokens, can be acquired tax-free by sending BUSD to the DRIP Liberation contract on the Animal Farm platform. It's also over here right there. So basically you send your DRIP, it makes a DRIP BUSD LP token, which basically means that it adds DRIP liquidity over on PancakeSwap. But for doing that, you can take the LP token just like yield farming and you can stake it over here. Then you can compound your seeds or harvest your seeds. The Drip Garden is a true game where all players start out relatively equal. And what determines your payout is how often you plant your seeds compound versus how often you sell them withdraw. Below is a graph showing the buying power over time and balance compared to other games such as Shrimp Farmer and Miners. Existing games give insiders over 100,000% more buying power than players who get in after launch, allowing them to drain the contract and disincentivizes new capital coming in. That's very true. And they give us this, you know, the old style of doing this type of contract, they did like this. And the idea is this one becomes more profitable over time. That's true, but there's a hidden mechanic that is necessary. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I understood that something like this may exist. There's a hidden mechanic at play that's important for us to recognize. As you can see, the Drip Garden increases buying power over time, and as the balance of the contract grows, ensuring that you will always get a fair rate. There is still a benefit of getting in early, because the earlier your plants get in the ground, the larger you can grow your garden and outperform the competition. And outperform a sneaky mechanic. And I don't mean sneaky as bad. It's part of the game effect. The time multiplier is designed to attract new waves of capital after we have reached saturation, and the contract growth is slowed due to the buying power of new capital creeping up by 0.1%, non-compounding every day. This means there will always be a time in the future where it makes sense for fresh capital to come in and kickstart a new wave of gardeners. Okay, so what is the mechanic at play? Because if you look at this, it's like, obviously everybody can't win, right? By the logic we've seen so far, it almost looks like, by the way, there's nothing in here that is said that I'm aware of that is untrue. It's just what is not said that's important to understand. It almost looks like you could compound forever and come out ahead. And as long as the drip price remains the same, because these LP tokens are part drip, 50% drip. So as long as the drip price remains the same, there may be some truth to that. But at the end of the day, everybody doesn't come out ahead. So how is it that you can get in later, have more buying power, keep compounding? Like how does this work? Well, there's a mechanic in place you need to understand. Let's take a look at our Telegram group. Okay, this is it sustainable that way? I read this comment on a guy's YouTube video yesterday. It's an interesting take on it. By the way, this is Nick at our YouTube channel. Raph was a new member. Raph Invest is a new member. Nick has been around for a while. Sometimes goes by Hornet NZ. Some of you know him for the community. He's really our garden expert. Like if you have any questions on the garden, come join the Telegram. You can definitely ask Nick. He'll help you out. Okay, here's the comment. Listen to this. I'm going to tell you the real game of the drip garden. I hate to break it to everybody, but it's not the game you think you're playing. You're not getting compound interest in this game. You're getting 3% of what you put in LP every day in the form of plants. So you're not compounding. That's important to understand. You're getting 3% every day. If you do not compound each plant when it's time, then you will make less than the max of 3.33% per day. The thing is, the rate of decay has averaged negative 2.09 since Drip Garden started. This is the part that people aren't realizing. It's that there's a decay rate. And in order to stay ahead of the decay, you have to compound. Meaning, if you have been compounding since day one, then you are at 1.24% ahead of the rate of decay. But the rate of decay can exceed 3.33% and has been all of March. So think of the rate of decay as the Terminator. It's coming for you and it doesn't stop. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower, but it never ever stops. But you do. Every time you don't compound on time, meaning every time you don't compound when there's a chance to, or every time you take profit, you've effectively stopped running away from the Terminator, and the Terminator is catching you. The name of the game is to run away from the Terminator long enough so that you can wait and take profit before running away some more. On days where the rate of decay exceeds 3.33% max, you cannot take profit. I believe the system was built like this to protect itself. I agree with that. Why is the rate of decay outpacing daily yield? Because the group is paying for the massive sell-off and harvesting to put in pigs in the piggy bank. I expect the rate of decay to outpace daily return for several more days. This means that when you're able to put distance between you and the Terminator, you need to. You can't immediately take profit. Is this making sense? This is the real game, and it's a lot more razor's edge than you've been led to believe because of, for one thing, there isn't any compounding, meaning it doesn't auto-compound or anything. Oh, yeah, and have I mentioned that you spend a dime in gas for every plant compounded? So I hope you're good for paying for your plants for the next however many months until you get tired of it. Take profit, ultimately making back less than your initial investment. This isn't an investment. This is a pay-to-play game that is designed to slowly exhaust you so that you quit before you make your original amount back and move on to something else. That's how this game ends for most of us. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Now make a video about this. Done. You got it. I made one. By the way, you know The Animal Farm is a dystopian novel, right? And the Pink Floyd song, ever listen to it? It's grim. I know about the Animal Farm novel. Never heard the Pink Floyd song, but I heard there was one about it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is about the best explanation that makes the most sense out of everything that I've seen. I told you, Nick has a full spreadsheet where he tracks everything that he's done in the Animal Farm. He tracks the price of daily plants. He tracks his earnings. Now, it doesn't mean you can't earn money or make money, I should say, in this game. And it's probably the better explanation of a game out of all the ecosystems in the Drip network. I myself have made profit, but I compounded forever. Like I compounded. I mean, several weeks before I ever withdrew. Now, I never put a lot over here. I never loved the idea of distracting away from Drip, but I understood that a lot of times new ecosystems can make money, so I threw like $1,000 at it. And it took me, I don't know, probably the better part of a month before I ever withdrew, and then I withdrew like 400 or 500, but it took a while for that to catch up. And I thought when that was happening, I thought somehow or another this is hurting me. And it was that decay factor they're talking about. Now, I did benefit because the drip price went up a little bit in the beginning, so that was helpful. As the drip price comes down, it's more important to compound longer and longer and longer. But this is a great, if you read this right here, if you read everything that's on this webpage, if you read the FAQ, there's nothing that's misleading. It's less about what we're not told. And by the way, it's also the same mechanic that makes this thing sustainable for a long time. If they just gave a flat 3%, then it would have probably already ended. It's very interesting. I mean, do I love it? I don't know if I can say that. I think it's interesting. I think it would have been more important to just explain there's some game mechanics at play here. And if you don't compound consistently over time, then you're going to hurt your returns. And they kind of did say that. They just didn't explain the decay model the way that commenter just explained it. And I can't prove that that model's correct, but it does make sense based off the data that I've seen so far. By the way, if you want to join our Telegram group, go down in the description. Feel free to do so, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully this explanation for the Drip Garden has been helpful to you. If so, smash that like button, click the bell notification icon, and click all. Decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.